ahead and get started. My name is Laura Jackson. I am the volunteer manager at AHC. I really appreciate you joining tonight. Oops, let me get going. So this is a volunteer orientation at the beginning of the year. I'm gonna talk for a while about our mission, some general volunteer stuff, volunteer agreement, and then we're gonna go into breakout rooms by center. So you'll get to meet the staff that you'll be working with and learn the specifics of where you're gonna volunteer. So again, thank you for joining. Lainey, do you see Selah in the waiting room? All right. So I work for AHC, Affordable Homes and Communities, and hopefully all of you, well, you've either volunteered before or hopefully you've been to one of our information sessions. But since we started our program year last year, AHC rebranded, and we focused a lot on our mission, our vision, and I wanted to just hold it up because people have done a lot of work around this, and we've got some really important concepts that we're all focusing on. I'm part of the resident services team, so of course I love the very first sentence. The residents are at the heart of all we do. But it's not just the resident services team that is very focused on this. When we have all staff meetings, we talk about our visions and our values. We break it down and do one every month. And the finance department, the HR department, the real estate development team, and the resident service team are all talking about our vision and our mission. And you, our volunteers, are such an important part of this. We could not serve our residents and provide welcoming environments for them without you. Another thing that we've really been focused on is providing trauma-informed care. And I have been emailing all of you and sharing different resources with you. We've all been through the training, our staff have, including the finance department, the HR department, the real estate development team, the property management teams. We're all learning about trauma-informed care and how we can best support our residents. So I invite you, strongly encourage you. I'm not quite requiring it, but I really hope that you will look at those resources that we have. Some of them there's a podcast, there's some slides, there's a video. So whatever way you take in information, you can look at that information. There's some partner agencies that are doing, you can go to a live in-person or virtual training to learn more. I think our volunteers already do a great job of being supportive and welcoming to our students. And I think that by doing this training, you'll get even more tips. You'll get more tips and just be able to do your job better. So I'll send a link out to our mission, vision, value statements. There are a lot of words there, but they're really thoughtful. And then I'll send a link to those training resources again. And I do ask that you look at one, please. Okay, so in an effort to best support our students, we are slightly reframing the titles of the volunteer jobs and the volunteer time when you'll be helping. The after school program for elementary school students, I think it was initially you were a homework helper, and then we said reading buddy. Now I'm saying brain time helper. And what I'm trying to build in is the flexibility for our volunteers to support our staff and whatever's going on that day. We continue to be a literacy focused organization. We have literacy kits. We've got lots of books. I should have written that down. We have Auto and iReady or online programs that help our students and kind of diagnose specifically where they are and skills that they need to work on in reading. Occasionally, some schools have homework, so you might be called in to do homework. Some of our students are great readers and need help in math, so that might be what you're doing. Some of you might be saying, I don't know how to teach math anymore, and please bring that up with the staff and we'll do our best to support you. Another thing you might see going on at our centers is called the Positivity Project. It is social emotional learning, a curriculum that we use. And if you don't see that in action when you're there, you'll certainly see signs and posters around, and that's something that you can talk to the students about what they've been learning that week. So there are a variety of ways that you will be called upon to help when you are with our students. And my guess is for the most part, it'll still be literacy focused, but just talk to the staff at your center if you have a special thing that you're interested in, and be as flexible as you can be. For teen program, we've also struggled with this. Is it tutoring? Is it mentoring? And I think it's a combination of the two. Building relationships with the teens is the most important thing you can do. There probably some students are going to come right in and they'll take math help from whoever's sitting there. They're just like ready to go. They're super focused on academics, but that's not going to be most teens. And honestly, building relationships with them, it's going to be a lot of fun for you to get to know your student. So never feel like, oh, we're not doing the right thing when you're talking and asking about their day or asking about their hobbies. Like that is part of the program, is really getting to know the students and being an important, positive adult relationship in their lives. Our students set academic and enrichment goals. So you can talk to them about that. You can talk to the staff if you've got a reluctant to talk student, but that's just a way to get to know them and where they are and what's important to them. So many of you will be helping with homework, organizational skills, helping them look ahead and think about how to study. But doing all the mentoring and getting to know you pieces will be very important. As far as I know, Arlington Public Schools still uses two online systems, Canva and StudentView, to that's where the assignments are. That's where the actual worksheets and material is. It's how they turn in their material. And we'll do a more detailed training about that later in the fall, but your students are going to know, unless you're matched with a sixth grader, and then they might need their handheld on that too. And you can just look to the older students in the room, because that's where everything is. And the students will know how to use these systems. And it is wonderful and appropriate and a very smart move to, once you've checked in and seen how things are going, ask them, let's go ahead and sign into StudentView, or let's go ahead and sign into Canva and see what kind of homework you have coming up. So we're not expecting you to be experts. And I definitely said this in the information session, and I'll say it again. Our staff will love to ask what you feel comfortable in. And if you are an expert, please let them know, because there's probably a student that needs that kind of help. But if you don't remember math, there will be other ways for you to help a student with math, or we can reassign you. The pairings don't have to be set in stone from day one. So flexibility, seeing what the students need, that is our main goal. Okay, so I've already talked about the trauma-informed training, and I will send that out again. We follow the Arlington Public School schedule, and I will send a link to that. Our staff will also send you a calendar every month, and you can also ask for that if you're, so you don't have to print out, you're welcome to print out the Arlington Public School schedule, but you don't have to. We will keep reminding you. So when there are school holidays, we will not have program. I've listed the fall ones here. There are some early release days, and we do have program on those days. But if there is no school, then we will not be expecting you that night, and we will let you know. So we also follow the winter break schedule, and we're off for Thanksgiving. And then when the bad weather hits, we will follow the school weather closures. So um, we'll do our best to let you know that day if snowing or sleeting or just general, the roads are slippery. You can also make your own decision about what you feel safe and comfortable doing. Um, and you can just let your staff know. So the part of the breakout rooms, you will get your staff contact information. And I encourage you to write them in there, take a minute and put it in your phone. And the one more general thing I can say is at most of our centers, we're still looking for volunteers. So if you have friends, family members, neighbors, coworkers, local alumni groups that you can help spread the word, we're looking for more people that are interested in working with students. I can send a little blurb. Maybe I'll do that one with the other information I'm sending you. I'll send something that you can send to your friends if you can think of anybody. All right, so Lainey is going to put into the chat a link to the volunteer agreement. So if you want to just do this right now, feel free. But I will also send this out later. We're asking volunteers to make a weekly commitment. We know things are going to come up. You're going to travel. Hopefully you don't get sick. Hopefully it's all just fun things that come up. But there, could be other emergencies. Please notify the center staff when your plans change. And so if you know a month out, great, let them know. If you find out 10 minutes before you were going to leave the house or work that you can't make it, let them know. It really helps them to reassign students or just, rethink. So we want you to attend as much as you can and hope that you do, but just that communication is very important. Confidentiality. These are students living in Arlington, and probably many of you live in Arlington, so these are your neighbors. If you have a funny story to share with your friends, just do that with no names. If you have something that you're worried about, please talk to staff and then you can use a name. But we're just honoring the confidentiality of the students and families that are in the program. So I've expanded our COVID policies to just any kind of illness. If you're sick, just stay home. As much as we want you and depend on you, we don't want to be spreading germs. If you do get COVID, you're welcome to let us know that specifically, or you can just look up what the CDC guidelines are. So the guidelines for if you have COVID or if you've been exposed to COVID, and the CDC's, I think right now recommending masking, but not curtailing activities. So you can also email me and then I'll look up what the CDC says. So those are the rules that we'll follow for COVID this year. For boundaries, we want our program to be successful, and so just want to go over all of these. The first one is maybe the trickiest. So students might bring up things like educational concerns. By that, I mean, like, do they have an IEP in school, the individualized education plan? Medical diagnosis. It might be like, do they have ADHD? And then family concerns. If students bring things up to you, you don't need to say, no, I'm not allowed to talk about that. But if you have concerns, please talk to our staff first. Don't ask the students if they have an IEP. Don't, ask them questions. Let them bring information to you and talk to our staff about any concerns that you have. No initiating touch or hugs. It's gotten a little easier since COVID. Fist bumps, high fives, little elbow touch. It's harder with the little kids and they might want to give you a hug. Again, you don't have to push them away. No, no, no hugging. But you can say, hey, I'm more comfortable with a high five. Or, if you want to accept their hug, that's okay. But it should always be initiated by the student for the younger students, and for teens. I think a fist bump or a high five is going to be just fine, or shaking hands if you want to be formal. Um, Social media, that is a great way to engage with the teens, but not by following each other. So if have a funny video that you've seen, you can show it on your phone. You can, my student last year taught me how to read books, like little graphic novel type things on a website, but I pulled it up on my phone, she pulled it up on her phone. So you're not going to follow each other, but it's a great way to get to know each other. Not for too long if they have homework, and not for the younger kids. Photos and videos. Our staff have staff phones. So if you see a great photo opportunity, or you want your students done something great and they want to hold up their A paper and give them a big thumbs up, our staff can take pictures of you, and we do have permission. Our staff have permission to do that, but we ask that volunteers not do that. And then you'll not get together with your students outside of program time. So all of this takes place at our centers with our staff, unless they're in our college and career readiness program. Maybe a tiny few of you that are doing both this year. And the last thing is, we want you to have a great experience. So any concerns that you have, anything that's going really well, please share that with us and our staff. Share that with me. But talk to us, because we won't know. There, in some cases, 20 kids and 20 volunteers and spread out around a center. And so we can't see everything that's happening. So please let us support you. All right, are there any questions? You can put them in the chat, or just ask. And I see somebody saying, send these reminders, and I am absolutely going to send a copy of this volunteer agreement. So if you filled it out tonight, great, but I'm going to send it to everybody anyway. I'm going to wait another minute. Any questions? So somebody's saying, like, if you suspect that a student has dyslexia, talk to the staff. They might have resources. They might be in touch with the school. The school might not, if this is the beginning of the year and you're feeling concerned about that, the school might not be on top of it yet. But our staff do have relationships with the schools where their students do have a way to share more information. They might not always be able to share that with our volunteers. Certainly wouldn't necessarily be able to share any of the formal if there's an IEP and stuff, but they could just point you to some resources that they've heard from the school would be helpful. So that is the perfect thing to talk through with staff. We do background checks when you first start volunteering, and right now we have not made anybody renew it. So I'm not going to promise that we won't ever, but definitely the first time. Yes. Ooh, so the calendar, send out the calendars in advance. I'm going to include the whole school calendar this time, and then you'll be getting from your staff your particular center's program calendar. It'll have maybe more information than you need to know. If they've got a partnership with the library coming in, or the police department, it'll be on there, and you'll see what's going on even at the times that you aren't there. And then the holidays will be clearly marked. Okay, so I am the volunteer manager. I support all of our centers. And then we have center staff that you're going to meet in just a minute. If you are sick, running late, need to switch days, have any kind of schedule thing, please let your center staff know. If you lose their number, you can send it to me. And if I'm on my email and have time right then, I'll send it on to them, but I might not. So please, please take the time when you get to your breakout room to write their number into your phone. If you're at the center and you don't know what to do, or like if you don't know where are the books, where are the best books for a first grader? What should we do now that homework's over? Talk to staff. They've got so many resources in the centers. We've got games, we've got worksheets, we've got books. And that's true for the teens too. We have a lot of resources. So just check in with the staff about where things are. But if you have a friend that wants to volunteer, that is one where you email me. If you can't get in touch with the staff member, you've forgotten their number, I will happily send that on to you again. Okay, so we're going to go into breakout rooms.